Courtroom whispers soon turned into explosive allegations involving Colleton County Clerk of Court Becky Hill. She was accused of influencing jurors, breaking the sacred seal of impartiality in one of the most watched trials in America. Hill's alleged conduct, chatting with jurors, making suggestive comments, cast a shadow over the already sensational proceedings. Inside the packed courtroom, every gaze shifted from Murdaugh's steely stare to the woman at the clerk's desk, now under suspicion herself. Could the integrity of a double murder conviction be undone by the very officials sworn to protect it? The Low Country had never seen anything like it. A trial within a trial, where truth, lies, and justice blurred under the hot glare of national attention. And a whole lot of national attention on this case. I mean, this thing took on a life of its own. Now, after the trial, Julie Grant had Becky Hill, the clerk of court, on her show, along with Neil Gordon, and the two of them wrote a book about the trial. Take a listen.
They are the co-authors of the book Behind the Doors of Justice, The Murdaugh Murders. Neil Gordon and Becky Hill are joining us this morning. And also important to note that Becky Hill is the clerk of court in Colleton County, an elected position. And during her first term, she sat through this trial. Becky, I'll begin with you, please. Welcome to you both. Glad to have you on. And tell us, in your job, give us an idea. What do you typically do? And in terms of seeing a case of this magnitude, I would imagine this was kind of a first of its kind for Colleton County.
Well, the clerk of court does a big job of being a liaison between the judge, the lawyers, the public, the documents that are in a trial. In a case of this magnitude, there's a lot of documents, there's a lot of paper, there was a lot of people that had come together from all over the world. We had people coming from France, England, California, Wyoming, and so many other places, just to be able to open our doors and have everything together for the trial that we were going to have. Just a normal, any other day kind of trial was huge. It was epic.
The title, Behind the Doors of Justice, came from Becky, and she had sort of thought about it and had even made some notes late nights after 12-hour days, getting ready for the next day of trial.
And that brings us to the next question in our investigation, which is, why did Becky Hill write the book? Why? Here to help answer that question is South Carolina criminal defense attorney Lori Murray and Neil Gordon, co-author of the book Trial Watchers, and Becky Hill's book, Behind the Doors of Justice. All right. Great to see y'all. It's been a while. Neil, why don't you start? Why did Becky Hill write the book with you?
Well, I think she wanted to chronicle what we understand is probably the trial of the century in the state of South Carolina, at least, and created such a buzz across the country. And she just wanted to be able to share the insight in real time, what was happening and how all the players came together. And of course, there certainly was a profit motive. I mean, I wanted to earn some money. She wanted to earn some money. And we thought that it would be the first book out, and it would be interesting because it's very rare, almost never happens, probably illegal in different states, for a sitting clerk of court to be able to go ahead and share her thoughts, even though there was a possibility of a future appeal.
Yeah. Lori, I want to take a listen to Rhonda McClevin, who is the Barnwell County Clerk of Courts. Let's see what she had to say about Becky.
First of all, she said we might want to write a book because she needed a lake house and I needed to retire. And then further conversations, a guilty verdict would sell more books.
All right, Lori, why do you think she wrote the book? You think it's just, money? And what do you think of that line, a guilty verdict would sell more books?
just poor judgment. Can we just go with poor judgment from the get-go? You know, I can't tell you what is in Becky Hill's mind. I would never begin to understand what was going through her mind. Obviously, there was a money aspect of it, but I also believe that it was not enough for her to be sitting at the front of the courtroom. She wanted to insert herself into the limelight, into the spotlight, and you can tell from that by the fact that she wanted to go on all the TV shows after the verdict was issued. There's a lot of reasons, but I think that mostly it was probably the attention.
Neil, did you share that idea that a guilty verdict would sell more books?
No, not at all. I honestly don't think it mattered. I can just speak to my experience with Becky. We never discussed that, or she never acknowledged that. And maybe I was naive. It just never came up. I was just too busy trying to look at each chapter and how we should sort of walk through a book for readers. But quite honestly, whether it was guilty, not guilty, mistrial, or what have you, I honestly don't think it mattered.
Lori, how shocked were you, as someone who practices down there, that this book was written, was published, and you know, Becky Hill was the one, you know, kind of behind this whole thing, the clerk of court?
Well, you know, he's right. That it was the first book that came out, and there have been many more since then. But we knew from the very beginning there were rumors swirling in the legal community about this book, that something was in there that should not be in there. And I remember, I think I've told you before, I bought the book trying to figure out what it was. But it is all about the fact that she shouldn't have been writing this book. That's, you know, she was writing on the tax dollars of, you know, the taxpayers' time. There's so many things that just was such bad judgment, such bad judgment.
Neil, what was your relationship with Becky? How would you describe it, and how did you get involved? Like, I understand how she got involved because she's the clerk of court. She wanted to buy the lake house. But how did you get involved in all of it?
Well, first of all, my wife, who I call the OG Trial Watcher, who inspired our book, Trial Watchers, was there. She's a photographer, although she did not get a media pass. She was just there because she was interested like everyone else. And she just happened to be on Photographer's Row the day that the jury and the judge and other officials, including Becky, were going to go to Moselle to look at the crime scene. And there was another sort of reporter with a media shirt on without a press pass. And Becky came up to my wife, Melissa, and wondered if he was taking pictures through the car of jurors. And so they struck up a friendship, and that's how that sort of happened. And then took a selfie. Melissa got her cell number, sent it to her, and then Becky said, hey, you know, I've wanted to write a book. I've been talking about it for months before you know of anyone. And we understand she sort of shopped it around afterwards to discover someone. And, you know, I've been in sort of small town Augusta, Georgia now for about 30 years, grinding out an enjoyable media career, but I certainly haven't got rich. And I've never written a book. And I just thought, you know, Vinnie, this is my shot, and it's unique. It's a little bit different, you know. And we did. You know, I think Lori probably knows a media attorney, Jay Bender, and in released public documents, so I can say his name, it was shared that he reviewed what the ethical implications were, and he told her that it is okay according to the law. Now, I think that law should be changed in hindsight, and I think there's a lot of laws in South Carolina that maybe should be changed.
Yeah, things got a little more messy. Neil, great to catch up with you. Lori's going to stick around because the next question is a big one. Should Alex Murdaugh get a new trial?